Welcome to the Fantasy Football Clown Show. I'm your host, Ed Smith.
And I'm the co-host, Brad.
Tonight we're going to kick off the show with some of what we have coming up over the course of the NFL season in 2022. We're going to start this podcast. It's going to be released every Wednesday morning. So check back on YouTube and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and give us your comments. That's really going to help us out. Some of what we're going to do it revolves around the Clownhead community, and it's broken down into 5 individual 12-team leagues as well as one huge 96-team league that has 8 divisions, all 12 teams in size. But it's been an undertaking that we're just in the middle of drafting, and it feeds into one huge playoff tournament at the end that nets $3,000 for a $100 investment. So we have a lot of anticipation for what's happening there, a lot of trades going on. We actually just discussed right before we came on the video about 119 trades just in the startup draft, and we're only a couple rounds in a lot of cases. So pretty crazy how that's all going to work. Some of what we want to kick off tonight with what's coming up for those people in the Clownhead community is going to be each week. After week 1, we're going to invite the top scoring person from the Elite 8, which is that 8-team league that we spoke of, as well as the 12-team, the 5 12-team leagues. We're going to invite that top scorer as well to just kind of explain how they built their team, why they started the players that they started, and so we can all learn about what the process was. And so tonight we're going to just kind of break down some of what Brad's experienced over the course of just these first couple weeks of looking at the Elite 8. And really, this is our first week of drafting. And so he's kind of fortunate enough to be able to see all 8 divisions, see kind of the chat boards, kind of share with you guys that are part of the process and maybe don't see those chats, what we see in the chats, how people are building. And it's kind of a crazy scoring situation. Like I think I was looking today, and you can't really build this with just going after one position because of how deep the scoring is. So anyway, Brad, what are you seeing out there in the Elite 8? What kinds of things are being drafted? What positions are people going heavy on?
It seems like every league so far is kind of judging players pretty differently, honestly. I feel like, especially in a 3-point tight end PPR, people are going tight end heavy in the first couple rounds, and then obviously quarterback heavy. But other than that, it's been, I don't know, like, yeah, it's definitely tough to build around like just one position or like try to get a monopoly, because I feel like the scoring is just so different from a lot of the other leagues that are out there.
Well, I'm going to break apart your and my draft because I just noticed I pulled up both drafts and I see that we share a brain. And it's kind of funny because I think you and I build teams just so differently. And I'm definitely like, I like try to go heavy and build based on just going hard after a position and just trying to monopolize a market, where I think you just win. I don't know how you win, but you just seem to win every league I ever play with you in. I always seem to lose to you. So I don't know how you pull that off, but I'll be anxious to pick your brain as we go. And every time I think we play head to head, even when you were a kid and you just beat me. So when you were like 3, I think you were beating me in fantasy football. So it's pretty crazy. But I noticed that we both picked out of the 12 spots. So we have exactly the same spot in a draft, and we're in different divisions. But I see that we both picked Trey Lance, and I don't even know that I knew that until right now. So I didn't know that we shared a brain on Trey Lance. Why him with that? Hey, I guess he's your QB1. So why did you pick him there? And
Pretty much, I think the top 6 QBs went in the first round before me, so I figured I had to go with a young QB to get her started. And I mean, it was between either Lance or Lawrence for me. So I feel like I had to go with a younger guy that's probably the franchise guy there.
Gotcha.
Even
So
though
that was your QB1. It was actually my QB2. I went Dak Prescott with my first round pick. So I went quarterback. You started Najee Harris, and
yeah,
went there. And everybody that knows me knows how I feel about Najee, but I'm sure he's good. And I just think he's old, for his age. So I think I was critical of that pick, wasn't I? I came after you and what are you doing?
yeah, but also in with the receiving for running backs, it's interesting to have a player like Najee. He's definitely a guy that's at least young and will get catches out of the backfield. So we'll see. We'll see how.
Well, and then I noticed that both of us went Hockenson with our 5th round pick. And so we each had a 5-1, and I see that, and I just picked Hockenson before I came today to record. So I mean, this only happened minutes ago for me, so I had no idea you picked him. So it wasn't like we're conspiring to pick the same guy. But what made you pick Hockenson? And what's even more interesting to me is that right after we each picked Hockenson, Schultz, Freiermuth, and Goddard were the next 3 picks in both of our drafts by totally different people, but they weren't in exactly the same order, but we just started a tight end run with that pick. Now all of a sudden 3 tight ends went in both of our drafts. So that was kind of crazy that we started a run.
And I remember talking a few nights ago about that pick actually, and I remember telling you that I thought a guy like Freiermuth would fall a little bit later. So it was definitely crazy to see that tight end run kind of start there.
Well, what I try to do, and I mean, this is not really a secret, I guess I tell everybody, I try to start runs. So especially if we're on the anchor spots, like either the first spot or the 12th spot in these leagues, I try to be the person not reacting to a run, but more starting a run and pushing the envelope. So I do a lot of double taps. I didn't tonight, with my Zach Wilson pick. So I actually have 3 quarterbacks, 1 running back in Javonte, and then Hockenson as a tight end in my build. I think you have two running backs, 2 quarterbacks, and a tight end. So you have ETN as well. And, kind of interesting that both of us faded the receiver in this setup so far. And just kind of a shout out that you can't do that forever because you start 4, which is 48 in this league every week. There's a minimum of 48 receivers. That's more than, 1.5 per team. So if you figure a couple flexes in there, we basically start really 2 receivers per team every week. And so factor that into the Texans 2 receivers. I mean, that means somebody's starting Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins every week, in their lineup. That it happens. Every team has to start 2 almost. So I guess now, are you feeling like you're going to draft balanced? I mean, I know you said you didn't want to get too involved, and we'll probably look back next week with a lot more of this draft done, but are you feeling like in this kind of an environment that you want to draft a balanced team, or do you not worry about starters today since we're 5 weeks away from the NFL season really beginning?
I feel like I'm just kind of going with what the board gives me at my pick. I'm not trying to be too picky about getting a certain guy or anything, or I'm just whatever comes to me I'm kind of rolling with, and I feel like it's working my way. So I think it's working out so far.
That's what I thought too. Are you amazed by the amount of trades? I mean, I did allude to that in the open that there's 119 across the board, but when you start to look at our grids, you start seeing all the trades going on there. And are you amazed by the trades or not so much?
Yes, but especially in startup drafts, I don't know, in the previous startup drafts I've been in previous years, I feel like there hasn't been as much trading spots, honestly. And there's been a whole lot of trading around spots and then trading those spots in this league. And it's definitely been interesting to see everybody moving around the draft board. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually have been a little bit surprised by the amount of trades in my division. But I will say this, I haven't gotten involved in any of the trades, and my thinking on it is, and the reason why I don't do it necessarily is I really try hard not to get emotional with trades or trade to trade. And I really try to plug in players to what I'm trading. And I don't know what the outcome is on some of the trades, but I venture to bet that somebody's going to make mistakes by making trades. I don't know who made the mistakes. I don't even want to get there with that breakdown of who made mistakes, but I think somebody made a mistake. Like, I don't know where they are, but I think we'll look back upon the people that traded and say there was mistakes there. And I guess I'm trying to eliminate the mistakes in such a big tournament because I'm fearful that, I'm looking at a long-term, return here and trying to win this thing. And I guess I'm trying to minimize the mistakes and play a little bit more conservative. But, I guess, the Tampa Bay Bucks, they go no risk it, no biscuit. So, maybe that's what people in the league are doing, and definitely can see that. And I'm real excited as we look at we didn't really touch much on the 12-team leagues, and we have 3 of them that have already drafted kind of before this, but every single scoring setting is the same. So all the starting lineups and then the scoring settings are the same in those individual leagues as well, and they're all Empire leagues. And so once we drafted those 3, we kind of got a feel for how these 8 would go. And real excited because if you're going to notice in the link down below in the comments on this video, we're going to have Clownhead 4 and Clownhead 5 links to them so people can jump in there and be part of the Clownhead community, because what we're real excited for as we get to week 1 and inviting those high scorers up here every week, we just want to really pick the brains of having exactly the same scoring settings and same starting lineups to kind of get a feel for how different owners are going to build their teams in a different way, because there is a lot of different ways to build, and then where the winners come from, like maybe what draft spot they started at, and then how they developed a team. And as you look forward, so Brad and I are going to come back next week and kind of break down the one game that we have and maybe some thoughts on that, and then we'll update on where we are in this draft. Hopefully we're getting towards the end of the veteran draft in most cases, and then starting on the rookie drafts. And then we'll update also on how things are going in Clownhead 4 and 5 as we go, and we'll just keep giving more and more insight as we go on that. And then another thing to just kind of kick off that is solely for the Clownhead community, we're going to have a GPP in DraftKings that's $10, so really inexpensive, but each week we're going to have that GPP maybe 50 members strong, and really put it out there. Maybe it'll get to 100 and it'll be a decent return as we pay that off. But even more excited, if you think that we're kind of foolish, which we kind of think we're foolish, we're clowns, right? So we're kind of like the fantasy clowns here. You guys will have the opportunity to beat the clown. And, I'll put forth a lineup, a 50-50 lineup, and head to head, you guys match that. And, we'll have a limited number of people that can go head to head against me, or me and Brad, as we compile that lineup. I asked Brad about it, and he's like, I don't want any part of this, this going. I think he's afraid he'd win. So I just figure I can lose money, and I'll just throw it back at it. But we'll have $10 head-to-head games, and you guys can just kind of challenge me and definitely come on there. And so each week, the winner of that large GPP tournament, we're going to also invite them on. So we'll have 3 guests that we'll invite on each week during this season to kind of break down how did they win the GPP and how were they the best Clownhead in DraftKings, on that on the main slate, and then also the high scorer of the 5 different 12-team leagues, and then also the high scorer of the Elite 8. We'll invite them on to kind of break down their team, their division, how they're coming along, and for the end, some teases of what we have coming out next week. We're going to have a special kind of introduction for the Elite Eight winners. So that'll be coming up next week, and we'll definitely highlight that at a high level. And I do, before we go and leave, I want to get the Clownheads, or give the Clownheads the opportunity to get subscribed to the Discord channel. So Brad, how do they do that? How do they get that information to you?
All you got to do is you just pop me a DM with your Discord handle. My handle is The Real Brad Smith. Once you do that and you join the general Discord, I can get you right into the private channel and we can get you all squared away.
Perfect. We really appreciate you guys coming out and watching us, the Fantasy Football Clown Show. Again, I'm your host, Ed Smith, my co-host, Brad Smith, better known as my son. So I'm enjoying this time with him and breaking down football, and we're having a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to a season of a lot of fun. So for now, until next time, so long from us.